We're back
Hello.
after some minor technical difficulties yesterday. But thank you for
Minor indeed.
thank you for calling back though. Very much appreciated.
Sure.
So George, more questions.
Yes.
What shows do you really want to see in New York right now, but you're not able to because you have the same show schedule?
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to refer to the list.
Oh.
I wanted to see The Damned. I wanted to see The Damned, which is the Eva Van Hove, which was at the Park Avenue Armory, but I think it's passed recently,
Ooh.
and I didn't get a chance to see it. I wanted to see that because I'm intrigued with his work and his person, and I really didn't like one of his pieces, but I didn't like it so much that I thought maybe there's merit to it. Because it did not bore me, it angered me. So I think there's some validity to that in an artist's work, that there's polarization in specific choices, but for most of the time. So I'm wondering if that's the thing with him, and I'd love to see some of his other work because I've heard about other things of his. As far as on Broadway,
it can just be a general show in New York. It doesn't have to be Broadway, but Broadway isn't like included in that as well.
I know, it's just, of course, it's so much easier to find out what's playing on Broadway.
Yeah, true. I mean,
no definitive list of off-Broadway is readily available.
Well, like, would you like to see Be More Chill?
Yes, I would like to see Be More Chill. And I'm not sure of their schedule. I don't know if they play Mondays.
Well, no, they don't actually play Mondays. It's the same schedule, but the problem is they've also, like, already completely sold out, but they might be releasing some new tickets at some point. I know.
Good for them.
Yeah, right? I'm so proud of them. It's, like, completely sold out before it's like a 9-week engagement, I think, and they hadn't even opened and it sold out, and you're like, whoa.
Isn't that extraordinary?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like I was talking about yesterday, they just opened last night. Actually, now it's last night, but and there's like a bunch of great photos, and they're all in like really super cool outfits, and apparently it went like pretty well. So that's good.
I'd like to see Carmen Jones at the Classic Stage Company, which is an off-Broadway theater. It's Oscar Hammerstein's take on Bizet's opera.
Oh, okay.
John Doyle directed it, and I think Anika Noni Rose is the lead and has a wonderful company and orchestra. So, and I've heard really good things about that. So I'd probably like to see that. I usually see things on recommendation. You know, if somebody that I trust says go see this, I'll usually go see that. If I have limited time and I can only like pick one thing every couple months.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It gets tricky.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about some shows, especially like off-Broadway things, they tend to have different schedules than Broadway times. So like, and then also, well, I mean, like in England it's different, but in England we actually get Sundays off of theater. So they actually, so they actually get like like a weekend where normal people can also interact with them, not just theater people are free, kind of thing. Yeah, exactly, which is good, but also like if you want to see a show on a Sunday, it's like the situation if you want to see a show on a Monday in New York, you have to find specific shows, but it's good that they get like a break and stuff.
Yes,
definitely. Okay, next question. Do you still get nervous before a show?
Sometimes it depends. Now I get nervous if there's certain people there. Like if there's a certain artist that I really like and somehow accidentally I find out they're there beforehand, that might make me nervous. Or if somebody close to me, a close friend is there that I trust or that I admire or I like their artistry, I'll get nervous. Or it'll make me more self-conscious about certain things depending on who it is. If it's a musician, I'll get nervous about my violin solos. If it's an actor or somebody I think is very funny, I'll get nervous about my comedic moments. If it's an Arabic person or an Arabic artist that I really like, I might get nervous about like the whole just like implication of the entire piece and my presence in it.
Yeah.
For like seats to like. So that makes me nervous. Otherwise, the crazy thing, because we've done about 350 performances right now, which is insane.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've never done that many, and a lot of people I know have not done that many, because not all Broadway shows run a long time.
True.
And so now the weird thing is you're kind of just waiting in the wings while the overture's playing, which I played the violin on, but we recorded it. So that's also weird that I'm not playing it, but like my music, the music that I played is playing before I go out. Yeah. So then we just go out, and we're behind, and the whole thing of the band's visit to it's the beginning, is like we're on the stage, and then there's kind of like a tableau of this airport scene, and then the black curtain like rise up in the middle of this, and then a bright light just like strikes the whole stage, and you're left with this tableau. So the weird thing is you're just behind the scrim, and you go out, and you're just you're trying to get your head in the game, and then the curtain goes, and right when that light's on, you're like, oh my god, there's 1,000 people there who've never perhaps seen the show, and they're gonna laugh, and you know where they're gonna laugh for the most part, and it's just a weird out-of-body experience going like, oh my god, I've done this a million times, but also these people have never seen it before, but also will I remember my stuff because I've done it so much, and now I'm like losing my mind, and
yeah.
And am I still entertaining? Is it all a lot? There's a million actor paranoias that go through your head after doing 350 shows.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely get that. It is quite especially the beginning of the band's visit is quite intense. And I remember when, like I told you before, like when I got to see it on that day that I was interning, the audience was like, I think particularly crazy, which was like awesome, which was really amazing. But also like to do with that, how have like the audiences or like stage door or like people talking about the show changed since the Tonys? And congratulations, by the way, obviously.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't. To me, they've not changed like so much so that I'm making comment of it often. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, people hated it or didn't care or didn't know what to think before the Tonys, and now they're like losing their minds and it's like a rock concert. I still feel it's very comparable. It might be a little more boisterous or a little more excited. You might get different kinds of people that are coming in with a little bit of like award fever or like, oh, this is the fancy show in town to see fever. But I think it's very comparable. But though all the audiences are very different, but like the general feel of audiences from this entire year have been similar to me. But there are different every night, and it really affects the show for me every night, depending on the audience. Because some audiences are really lackluster, and some are really engaged and specific and sharp and responsive, and that affects the whole game. It's really insane how theater ever works with like 12 to 1,300 people having to feel or like have a similar mindset at the exact same time. I don't know how it works.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the cool thing of theater, because obviously everybody can interpret it in their own way because it's your own thing and you're in your own mind. You're not discussing it at the time. You can make your own mind up about it. But also everybody quite often is having like a collective thought because there's something that is collectively funny or collectively, like the music, you get really into it kind of thing, which is really nice about like the general community of theater. And from like actors and people I've met in general, it's very much like a community and like a family. And I love that about like theater and Broadway and stuff in general.
Yes. And I think you can feel as the actor, the person on the stage, you can feel the audience's focus and engagement as much as they perhaps can like deduce yours. Like you can tell if like an actor is like not with it if you pay attention. So I can tell if an audience like as a whole or a section is not paying attention or not in the moment or not focused. Especially in a show like this, which they're like the third scene partner. You need them. They affect everything. Yeah,
very true. I mean, you said obviously you have a bunch of thoughts running through your head during the show, like most people would. Have you ever had like any mishaps on stage or any funny stories about that, or about in any show you've done, or any of your co-stars making some funny mistakes or things going on during the show?
Well, I have some anecdotes. So we have this big dinner scene in the show, which is perhaps my favorite scene to play in, where Andy Polk sings "The Beat of Your Heart," that amazing song about his wife, and him playing music and wooing her through that. And that's also the first moment where like these two different peoples connect through music. And but I truly feel at that dinner table are seated the funniest people in the show, as just like people and then actors. We got Andy Polk, who's drop dead hysterical, out of his mind, wacky, brilliant, funny man. Like you can't even look at him and you'll fall down. And then you got Alok Tiwari, who's like the exact opposite personality, but because of that is wildly hysterical.
Yeah.
And then you have the outwardly, apparently hysterical John Cariani.
Yes.
And then you have the hyper-focused, severe, intense, simmering Kristen C., who's funny because she's trying to, like, detach from the wackiness of the rest of us. Yeah. So I'm staring at these wackos, and it took me the longest time to just be able to sit down at the scene and act and not break character and laugh, because just looking at their face is hysterical. And of course, since they're all funny people, they also all are not immune to being amused themselves. So I think last week, I have a snort in that scene.
Yes.
There's like a derisive response to Alok's character, Simone, who's always talking about, like, oh, I play the clarinet. And so my interpretation of that for my character is that, like, this guy's a big blowhard, and he never finishes this damn concerto, and he's always, like, waxing poetic about it, and it's, like, so tired. You know, it's just, like, eye-rolling worthy to me. So that's, like, how I've kind of interpreted that. So he says this, so we finally get to yet another moment where they're like, oh, this guy plays the clarinet, this guy plays the clarinet. And I'm just like, oh, great. And he's like, well, actually, I play the clarinet, and I also conduct. And then I snort. So it's not, it might seem it, but it is not an easy thing to do, to snort on a specific, like, as a punchline cue, at a certain volume, with my back to the audience, with a gesture to show them that I'm the one making the snore, and to show them that I'm commenting on what he just said. So there's a lot of little intricate bits in there. So I'm always nervous about, I guess I'm nervous about that too. I always practice my snort so that my nose is snort-worthy before that scene. And usually I get a good one out. But like the other day, my mouth was a little dry and I'm like, uh-oh, this might be hard. So I snorted, or I went to snort and like nothing came out. It was like... And, like, I didn't know if the audience heard, so I just elongated it a little longer to make sure that it was, like, people knew that I was snorting, or, like, and then didn't just think nothing was happening. And so what came out was just kind of like, you know, like this, like, 4-second, like, bat cry for help.
Like as if you were snoring?
Yeah, it was, like, kind of like a weird snore, loud, weird thing. And everybody reacts to it anyway. But this happened, and they all lost their shit. I look over to Loke. I look across the table, Loke, and his big bald head turns bright red, and I know he's lost it. So it's making me trying to stable up because I know he's lost it. So he pauses before his next line, and then he's like, "Well, sometimes." And then John Cariani, who is always smiling and laughing, I could see him cracking. And then I look at the impenetrable Andy Polk, who is the leader, and I'm starting to lose it a little bit. I'm trying to look to him for guidance, and I look at him, and I see the corner of his mouth go up a little bit, and I was like, we're screwed.
Oh, no.
We're doomed.
Oh, no.
The ship is going down.
Oh, no.
So I just had to, like stick my nails into my hand and bite my tongue, and everyone's going, we're just trying to not lose it and regain composure of the scene, and we did, but we lost a few lines because we just tried to rush them out of our mouths because we could not laugh.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember when, that's amazing, but I remember, like, during the understudy rehearsal, Sam, who plays the clarinet,
yes.
Yeah, that was so much fun because when he, like, when the understudies came on, he wasn't used to some of them saying specific lines, so you can see him like very, very clearly laughing at like obviously like the funny lines, but also the fact that these new people were doing stuff, and it was just him and a bunch of the other band members like nearer the back, like just completely losing it and trying to like bury their face in their hat.
Oh, because it's just so fun, like. Because these parts are so specific, and we're so accustomed at this point, after doing it for 2 years, to each other saying things with like the exactness that they always say it, and then to see somebody else who you know from backstage who is so different and like has a new wig on or like a weird shirt, and then comes out as like, "Hey y'all."
Yes.
It's hysterical.
Oh, that was so much fun. You can't
keep it together in these understudy rehearsals sometimes, depending on who's going on for who.
Oh, definitely.
It's like, it's impossible.
Oh yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Also, what would you say is your favorite part of working on the band's visit specifically?
From like the entire process?
From the entire process, or it could be a thing like your favorite thing to do in the show, but probably just like your favorite thing from the entire process.
I like the dinner scene's like my favorite scene to do in the show, though I love doing the telephone scenes.
Yes.
With Adam Cantor.
Oh, those are the best.
Yeah, it's just like a wonderful bit of like kind of like subdued slapstick, oddball, old timey comedy, but like in a weird, not that way. Definitely my favorite part of the entire process was collaborating with David Yazbek, like very deeply on a lot of the instrumental music and the Arabic classical structure of the music and instrumentation and rhythmic patterns and melodic patterns, and collaborating with him on the little song that Taufik sings before Katrina sings her song. So picking out, and he asked me to pick out the music that plays in the jukebox, which I picked out, the Kulthum song that Katrina goes and plays. So there's a lot of little touches that I had my hand in that was very special to me to get to contribute that in that way. Yeah,
that's so cool. I mean, it's great to, like I said before, like it's really great if a performer or people involved in the show are involved in some way in the creative process or how they get to deliver their lines, and then it makes it more comfortable for them, and to be involved in that is just also really, really cool.
Yes, yeah. To work with the master was really cool because Yazbek is somebody I greatly admire as a person and as an artist, and I like how he creates, I like what he creates, and I like how he creates it.
Definitely, that's awesome. Also, what do you think is the best and worst thing about being an actor?
I always say to like young people I mentor when they get because most of them are always looking for guidance on why they should even pursue this, because they're like, oh, I feel this in my gut to pursue this, but my parents aren't supportive, and everyone's like giving me doubts, and I'm feeling shy or just doubtful about it. And the truth is, when acting is good, it's amazing, and when it's bad, it's devastating. But if you're doing a ho-hum job, or you've entered into a very safe, like measured life, when it's good, it's only so good, and when it's bad, it's only so bad. So you take that, you stretch out the goodness by like pursuing something so drastic and so incredible, but with that you have to take even worse hardships. But you can never attain. Does this make sense? Is this crazy?
No, I know what you mean. I definitely know what you mean.
I'm saying, like, if you putting yourself out there for this, when it hits, it's like winning the lottery. Like when you finally find that part, or find that group of people, or find that show, or get cast in something, it's like no other feeling. It's so different than like getting a raise at a regular job, or getting a different kind of promotion, or I don't know, getting a good grade. It's like hitting the lottery.
Yeah, definitely, I get it. Especially if it's something that you've been really wanting, especially like like with auditions or something you go in for and you're like, I really want this, or I really want to pursue acting, or just in general in life, if you really, really want something and you also work towards that, it can be really gratifying when you get there.
One of the difficult things about acting, of course, is that you're truly faced with reality, which you're not necessarily faced with that as like vividly in other work, because in acting, your worth is measured on who you are and everything about you and how you look, where that's not what it is in everything. You know, your talent or your abilities usually overcome such things, whereas in acting it might not. You know, it could be you just sail by on your looks, or you sail by on one ability, and that overcomes other things.
True.
Or you sail by on your money, or you have the money to get yourself to connect with other things that other people can't do, and also your personality. Like things are, but that's a good thing, because things aren't put up with the same way, perhaps in the theater. Like your personality really says a lot about you, and if people want to work with you. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's really important. I think in life, people, like, it's great if you have a great personality, but if you have to work with somebody, you know, you have 8 shows a week, you can't have somebody who has like a negative attitude or is just being, you know, kind of difficult to work with. It's just not a nice
environment. It tears the fabric of everything, because this is kind of like an incubator of sorts, where you're just stuck with these same people doing the same thing in the same place every single day. So like you really have to have a positive energy flowing through a space, or it's almost unbearable.
Yeah, true. Definitely true. So another question. What do you say is your dream role in any show, like, ever?
Well, I don't know. There's a couple shows. See, I like to do new shows. I like to create shows. Let's see. Musical-wise, I'd love to play George Surratt from Sunday in the Park with George.
Yes.
That's a dream. That's a revival I would love to do, because I feel I have an interpretation of it. A reason I don't like to do a lot of revivals is because they're done so much. It's like, I have nothing new to say about this. Yeah. You know, it's like, so why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Shakespeare, I want to do Richard II. Like, nice. That's an absolute dream. I would do that any day in most places.
Yes.
And then, we'll see. There's a dream role that I'm not going to say that I have an audition for soon.
Oh, yes.
In a future production, which would definitely be a dream.
Well, break legs with that. I hope that happens.
Thank you, and I will tell you if it does.
Yes, please do. Oh my god, I definitely will. Also, I absolutely am in love with Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh, yes.
The music is amazing. One time I went up to London just to, before I was seeing a show, and I just went up, and then I went to a park and just sat and walked around London for about an hour or two, and on a really nice sunny day, and just listened to Sunday in the Park with George walking around.
Wow.
And it's like that was really lovely. And also, like, I remember walking by the theater on the way to see my friend at, like, Play That Goes Wrong, and it was near that area. I walked past Sunday in the Park with George, and I didn't know what it was at that point, and I listened to the soundtrack about a couple months after that, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I could have seen it, I was there, and now I know what it is, but now it was closed, which is such a shame, and I really wish I could have seen that, but there was another production on in England, like, a little bit ago, in a theatre that I saw a different show at, and then I saw a poster for Sunday in the Park with George, and and it said, like, oh, March, and then it was, like, 2015 or something.
Oh my god.
But it was, like, before March in 2018, this year, then, and I was like, oh my gosh, March? What? Whoa, I'm gonna go see it. And then it's like, oh no, this was, like, it was, like, 4 years ago, so, which is such a shame. But, like,
oh my god.
I know, did you get to see that when it was on?
No, I did not see the recent one with Jake Gyllenhaal. I did not see that.
Have you seen any production of it, or do you just?
I've never seen a production. I've never seen a professional production of it.
Well, do you, like, have you just listened to the soundtrack, or because a lot of it?
It's really from listening to the recording and just like delving into those words and that music, and also watching the archival of the original.
Oh, okay. So you did see something like nice, because I haven't actually seen like anything like that, and I'm still a tiny bit confused as to some of the plot, because I know it kind of switches between old George and then young George with like Dot as the great grandmother or something like that.
So you have to just watch the archival on YouTube.
Oh, what?
Whole thing's on YouTube.
Okay, I'm definitely doing that the second we finish this.
You have to watch it so you can see how the pieces fit in.
Yeah.
It was from 1984, and it's Bernadette Peters and Mandy Patinkin.
Oh,
and
amazing.
A slew of other incredible theater actors that have been in everything and that you'll love. But also, several years ago, there was a contest in New York to reimagine any song from Sunday in the Park with George. It's inspired by Jonathan Larson in his show Tick, Tick, Boom.
Oh.
Because he did like a reinterpretation of the song Sunday that's in Tick, Tick, Boom. And they were performing Tick, Tick, Boom with Lin-Manuel and Leslie Odom Jr. and Karen Olivo at City Center in New York in 2014. And so they had these projects in the lobby of the Grand Hall there. And so one of the projects was take a song from Sunday Park with George and reimagine it, and whoever we pick will get to play it in the Grand Hall for Sondheim.
Whoa.
So it was like an extraordinary opportunity. So I was like, I got to at least create something and submit it for that. And it was kind of like a low artistic point for me in my life, because I was having trouble getting momentum with the auditions, and nothing was really taking. So I was like, I'll create something for that, and it'll give me an outlet to make something.
Yeah.
And so I like stewed about it and tried to figure out which song I would pick, and went back and forth. And I was like, maybe I'll pick one of the weirder songs. Then no one will do that, and it'll be like, pick like No Life, the weird song in the beginning. That,
yes.
The couple sings about how they hate his work and he's like so lifeless in his art.
That's great.
But then I decided against that. But I was like, maybe I'll do that. And I couldn't think of what to do with it, so I was like, well, that's dead. So I ended up coming upon Children in Art. And
that's a really good one.
Yeah, and I sat down with my oud, and I opened up the score, which I had on my computer, and I worked through the score a little bit of Children in Art, and I ended up reimagining Children in Art as an Arabic piece.
Oh.
That was based I couldn't believe how perfectly my life paralleled that song. Because so the way it is, George Surratt is the artist in the first act, right?
Yeah.
And he paints the painting, and then he dies at the end of the first act.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what happens. So then the second act is 100 years later or whatever, maybe like 90 years later. And it's concerning his great-grandson.
Okay.
Who's also named George, who's now a visual artist in the 80s.
Yes, thank you.
Also played by the same guy.
Yeah.
And so, but in the first act, George has a girlfriend or a mistress named named Dot, right? Who's played by Bernadette Peters?
Yes.
And they have a child, and they break up.
Yes.
So they have a child, and that child is named Marie. And so in the second act, Marie is played by Bernadette Peters as well, but now she's an old woman, and she's now the grandmother to young George.
Okay.
So the connection is now George Surratt, his daughter Marie, and then his great-grandson George. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
So that's a little bit of like the clarification about the plot.
Oh, thank God.
But I looked at my life, and it exactly configured, because young George never met his great-grandfather, and the song Children in Art is about Marie singing to him, saying, "Oh, honey, you would love if only you'd met each other. How you'd inspire each other. How you would have loved him. How he'd have loved you."
Yes.
Look at this art. This is our connection to our history. This is our family. This is your legacy, and all that stuff. And so my great-grandfather, who I never met, was a great oud player.
Oh.
And his daughter, my grandmother, I'm very close with. And now I play the oud. So I reimagined it as her singing to me about how she wishes I could meet her father because of the music, and it's all about the music now.
That's amazing. Do you have a recording of that? Because, like, please...
Yes, that's on YouTube as well.
Oh, yes.
So look that up. You can just type in my name and Children in Art, and you'll find... Okay. I think there's 2 different recordings, but either one's good.
Okay, I definitely will.
Yeah, so I redid the whole lyric, and I redid the orchestration of it to be played on the oud, and I added little Arabic motives inside of there to mimic my great-grandfather's playing and some classical songs. So yeah, listen to that and let me know what you think. Yeah,
definitely. Definitely. Did anything come of that with the contest?
And I won the thing.
Oh, yes. Oh, there you go, George. Obviously, you have to mention that. I'm like, oh, did anything...
Sorry, I forgot.
I thought... I just can't believe
So I was so happy about how the piece came out that I didn't even care if I was selected. Oh. And so I was pleased with the piece, and that fulfilled me. And then I get an email the next week from Janine Tesori, who ran City Center, who's a wonderful... You know who that is. She's a composer. She wrote Thoroughly Modern Millie and Shrek and Violet.
Oh, yes.
Many, many things.
Amazing.
And so she was artistic director of City Center, and she put out this contest. And so her assistant writes me the next week and said, we loved your piece and we've selected you to play, 3 weeks from then. And I just lost my mind.
Oh my gosh.
And and my God, that's another longer story, which I'll tell you another day. But
yes.
I played and I met Sondheim and I talked with him, and it was an extraordinary night and crazy shit happened.
Oh my gosh.
And he watched me play that song as if he was like my own father.
Oh, wow.
He was so... And this man means so much to me, and he was so much the reason of my inspiration, like, wanting to be an artist and getting to New York. And so I was so glad that, like, he was that giving in person, which I expected him to be. But, sometimes people disappoint you.
Yeah, true. I mean, some people say, like, don't meet your heroes. But, like, when I was at, like, Be More Chill, like, Joe Iconis is, like, a pretty big hero of mine. And I think his writing is, like, amazing. And he is, like, a completely wonderful, giving, loving human being. So that was, like, great. So it's always really nice when the people you feel like you respect for their art or their work or whatever reason actually turn out to be quite nice.
Oh, it's so affirming because it's so disappointing if they're an asshole.
Oh, like, it's the worst.
It taints the work.
Oh, definitely.
So Sondheim was so giving to me, and it just, like, I was, like, on fire. I could not be stopped. And I'm playing on the stage, and there's 250 people standing around me, and Sondheim's seated at a little cocktail table, like right in the middle of the room, and I keep making eye contact with him, and I'm playing to the crowd, and I keep looking back at him, and I'm nearing the end of my song, and I'm playing, and I look over at him, and he's red in the face, and he's weeping.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what? And I'm still playing in my head, I'm going, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And I, like, get to the end of the song, and he's, like, collapsed. His head is in his hands, weeping.
Oh,
and I could not believe it. And I finished my song, and I'm like, drum, and he stands up, wipes his tears away with his claws, and then rips into applause.
Okay, that is the best story ever.
And it was one of the greatest moments of my life.
That sounds...
was the greatest moment of my life.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at a note on my wall right now that he said, that he sent me. Hold on, maybe I can take a picture of this.
Please do.
Let me see.
That is like a crazy, amazing story. And I feel like I know you have to go, like, what, now?
We can talk like 5 more minutes.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. Yes. Okay, can I read it?
Yeah.
It says, Dear George Aboud, this is just a note to tell you how much I loved your version of Children and Art. I was moved to tears by the connection between it and your father. Thanks so much for being part of the celebration. Stephen Sondheim. That is amazing.
Yeah, I was like, it was just a fucking fairy tale. I couldn't, but it was definitely a turning point in just trusting yourself and just make things for yourself, and
definitely
you can find fulfillment and trust in yourself, and you don't need to rely on other people. And it was just nice affirming. It was just nice affirmation that I made something that I liked and that other people connected to.
Yeah, especially in a point in your life in which your creative process, like you said, was a bit like down.
Yes.
And that can be really reaffirming. Like, my mom believes a lot in like everything happens for a reason, which I sort of believe in, and kind of, you know, if some bad things are going to happen, some good things are going to happen, and like that can be really great. It doesn't always work out like that, but when it does, it's like quite great. Especially, so great. Definitely. And with that, like you said, you gotta, you know, at that point you were just so happy with what you had done that you didn't really mind if you got it. Do you feel like people should go into auditions or something like that with that kind of attitude, that you should just be happy with your own?
That's also what I learned at that point, because I was getting so beat up and devastated by all these auditions that I thought I was perfect for, that I was led to believe that the creatives loved me, that I said, how in the world could I not get this? And I just not getting them. And then I changed my mindset, and it coincided with this. And my mindset became, I need to do the work so that I can judge my own audition exempt of their approval or disapproval, so that I can walk out of an audition room and go, I was prepared, I delivered, I felt good about that, I knew my material, I was ready, and I shone, and then no one can touch you. And then if you don't get it, you know it's not because of you.
Well, yeah, I think that's perfect, and also the best attitude to have.
You have to, or you'll lose your mind.
Yes, being an actor or going into auditions, exactly, because a lot of people are like, how do you deal with the rejection? And you've just got to know that if you did try your best and you were completely, this is me, I'm putting myself out there, I picked the best song for my voice, for the role, for whatever, I tried my hardest and everything went as well as I could have made it go, then you should just be happy with that and accept that, and then that's a much better attitude to have, rather than if you are so invested in every audition that it becomes your whole life of wondering whether you got it or not, and like this whole completely absorbed in it in like a bad way, then that's unhealthy. But it's really good to have that kind of attitude as an actor, and you kind of have to, like you say, because you will go crazy.
Totally. Well, like anyone who's survived and has worked hard to get where they're at and has lasted a while in this business knows that information. And anyone who burns out or like quits early, usually that's one of the tripping points, because you just feel, because you take it so personally that you go, I'm not talented. You go, I'm terrible. I don't deserve to be here.
You can't take it personally.
No, but I mean, but you do have to assess.
Oh, definitely.
If you've done your work.
Oh yeah. If you've done your work, but like some people can say, it can be a good and a bad thing if you say don't take it personally. So you shouldn't take it personally if they say, like, oh, no, it was for these reasons and it wasn't inherently that, or you tried your best and you just weren't fit for the role. But some people might actually not assess themselves or try to better themselves and say that they did their best when they actually didn't. And
exactly,
you know, that kind of thing.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of truthful talk one must have with themselves in the dark of night to figure out what is going on with you and what you really need to work on and what you need to trust in and what you need to not think about.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, yeah, because then you can be like, oh, I did my best. Because it's not about me. They wanted somebody 3 inches taller. Oh, they wanted somebody who had blonde hair. Oh, the producer's nephew wanted the part, and so he's going to get it. It doesn't matter what you did.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, it could be anything.
Yeah, like with my school production, they didn't want to give a lead. They wanted to give the leads to, you know, like the older people, which was fair because they were about to leave, or, you know, a lot of, like right now, because I'm a teenager, it's more difficult to get roles, because if you're a guy, they need you to have an unbroken voice and be like 5'4", and all the roles you have to be like 13 or anything like that. So if you're like a teenager, it's like an awkward age, and it's like there's all these specifics that you have to fit under, and it's not inherently personal. It's just that, you know, it can be for all those different reasons, you know.
Like exactly. Yes. And I never got that good at parts in high school, and I'm one of the few people that stuck around.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very difficult business. You definitely do have to stick with it. It's not so much just like, oh, I'll maybe do this, you know?
Yeah, it is not a casual decision.
Yeah,
it's a lifelong choice.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like also that was really great, and also with the Sondheim story and the great advice, I feel like that's a great place to end.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Thank you for being my third guest. And
pleasure, Ben. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, that was amazing, and thank you so much.
Wonderful. Take care.
Thank you.